We have to start, and the starting is now. So please, please, your attention. First, music. Now, announcer. Tonight, in fact, now, we present 50 years of service by the Rotary Club of Wakefield. 100 years ago, 4 men, Paul Harris and 3 others, met in Chicago to see how businessmen could give something back to their communities. From that humble beginning in 1907, the Rotary concept has not only grown, it has spanned the globe, from Turkey to Rome, Providence to Pretoria, and a concept that began with just 4 men is now an international organization with 32,423 clubs, 1.3 million members, and 168 countries committed to the ideal Paul Harris espoused: service above self. In their communities, Rotarians see a need and they respond, whether it's a need to build and teach others to build, feed the hungry wherever they may be, supply water to those without it, conquer diseases like polio worldwide, support art and music, prepare leaders for tomorrow, give leaders the tools to succeed, provide scholarships for local youth to attend colleges and universities, promote world peace through ambassadorial scholarships, encourage international youth exchange between countries, or learn business practices through Rotary's Group Study Exchange Program. Wherever you go, you'll find Rotarians are dedicated to helping others. Tonight, as we review past and future, we celebrate the achievement of Wakefield Rotarians and how they have exemplified service above self.
So some of the fundraising projects were horse shows. We had several of those. One of them, at least, was at, I think more than one, was at Canaccia Farms. We had an antique show and picked up all sorts of things to sell at auction. I remember the clam bakes that we used to have. Most of those originated pretty much at Joe Costanza's house. They were great fun. They were an all-day affair. Everyone tried to attend, and with their wives or husbands, and that was a great outing.
We tore down an old barn that was down by the river and behind Damon's hardware store down in the back. And then we took what was usable for building purposes and took it down to the YMCA. We financed those young people that family didn't have money to pay for the camp.
We started off with, say, a handful of fellows. Al Damon was one of the first ones. Another one was Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones was a famous, well-known doctor here in Wakefield. And also Howard Johnson's, Rush Johnson's father. He was one of the movers that started the organization going.
Like years ago, they used to, Camp Fuller was a project. We went down there and built Camp Fuller as a group with the experts in the club that were available. We tore down the house to build a camp in Camp Fuller. And then we built a bathhouse at Old Mountain Field for the people. We bought a scoreboard for the lad school they didn't have. We got more involved in the community.
When I became president, I figured that the best thing to do was to keep harmony in the club, to have good attendance, to have excellent speakers that would help bring good attendance, and to have very, very good camaraderie. And it was a fine year. We had a wonderful year. A new proposed member would come in and his spouse would be with him. We were all male then. And we had proposed members say, oh, put the brakes on, say, I can't commit that strongly. Well, it was better to find out at the beginning than to find out subsequently.
Well, the big change in my mind was when we took ladies in. When I was in, it was all men for many years, and then we took in our first lady, and I was, to be truthful, a little concerned. I wasn't 100% for it, but I have to say that these gals really pull their weight, and they do an extremely good job, and I don't know how we ever got along without them. For me, it was a way of giving back to the community, and this is a cliche, I know, to give back to the community in a, for me, in a group way.
While I was president, some of the significant things that occurred actually started at the end of my presidency, and I'm very proud of it because we started the World Scholar Athlete Game investigation, and that was many, many years before it even started. Rotary's changed a lot since I've been president. The size and breadth of what Rotary has done internationally continues to mind-boggle. When I joined the club, my dad was a Rotarian, so I knew a little bit about it, but I really didn't know how far-reaching it was. I knew it was a great local Wakefield club, but as I climbed the chairs and further went with Rotary, I found out what a strong international base it had.
Probably the high point of my Rotary year was the hospital in South Kingston was started by John Paul Jones, and we wanted to honor him as the founder of the cottage hospital, as they called it in those days. And our proposal to the hospital was to fix up the park, the small park in front of the hospital. It was just a scraggly bunch of weeds and trees. So our club cleaned the whole thing out, put in new trees, sidewalks, and seats, fixed the whole thing up for the hospital.
The enthusiasm with which they attack the fundraising programs that we have, it is very easy as a president, or at least it was when I was president, to get volunteers to do things. A great deal of cooperation, and they do it enthusiastically. They do it because it's something that the club needs to have done, and they do it and do it well. If you've not been a president, you ought to try it. It's a very interesting time and very worthwhile. I think I gained a great deal by being a president in that year.
Well, as far as on a local basis, I think we're gotten a lot more sophisticated in participation of the functions that the district governor asks us to do, and there's certainly a lot more involvement on the basis the district and the country as a whole in kind of complying with things that they're looking to accomplish. You know, the expectations, I think, were a lot of just getting the balloons up was what we were looking for. We didn't have nearly as many activities for people to spend their time at. So it was good to get some diversity in later years, but back in the early 80s it was principally balloons. If the balloons didn't go up, boy, it was a real disappointment, and people, you know, feeling less than happy when they would leave.
The position we were in as far as numbers of bodies we could fit in a room were probably at the max at the Largewood at the time, and they still were until we left the Largewood. My feeling always was that we should have the best members, if that meant having a number, let's say 100, if that was the number, and taking the best 100. And that means we bring in new members. Maybe the bottom members that aren't as good, aren't as active, and not as interested, maybe should not be members. And so that was kind of. But a lot of people don't feel that way. They feel as though that's a little bit crude, but I always felt as though that the people that are active, people that are doing stuff, are the ones you want as members anyway.
Myself, I think attendance is critical for a healthy organization, and I think the relaxing of these rules doesn't do us any favors. And I'll have 30 years of perfect attendance come October. The best thing I've done all my life.
Wow. One particular Christmas when we had the senior citizens in from the nursing homes, and everything's going along fine. We're singing carols, everything, you know, we're having a grand old time. And during the course of the meeting, with these two senior citizens sitting across from us, all of a sudden this gentleman just keeled over and died in the mashed potatoes. I mean, he literally plopped down into the mashed potatoes. Jack Walsh, who's a physician, is still a member of our club, came over, checked his vitals. Several of us took him out, put him on the loading dock so Jimmy Forbes could come over and pick him up. Went back in again, and there was Fred sitting there with his eyes as big as saucers. I mean, he was just absolutely catatonic about this whole experience. And just as I sat down, this woman, this senior citizen from the nursing home, reached over and grabbed his dessert and said he won't be needing this, and proceeded to eat his dessert, which was, you know, absolutely put Fred Beauchesne in total shock.
I think you have to be in tune with what's going on in the community, what the needs are to your community, and you know, the qualities that you have to be a caring individual and someone that is concerned about others. Anybody that gets into this club should remember that it's an honor to be a member of the Wakefield Rotary Club, and for all the good things that it has done. And that applies for both those that are deceased and for those that are present.
As being the first woman president, I was a little nervous, but very excited. But I had great support groups from the past presidents that guided me through the process. For myself, I say it's the world's biggest problem right now is corruption within political powers around the world. What you see, just traveling to Africa this past year, you see we've created corrupt dictators around the world. And really, what I keep coming back to is our Rotary four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? And it's our ideals of Rotary that I think the world needs to hear our message of Rotary so much.
The thing about Rotary that impresses me most, I think, is a fourth object of Rotary. It says that we're out there for the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business. Professional men and women united in the ideal of service. I mean, I think that's fantastic. That, along with the four-way test, means that it's a great organization if we can live up to these ideals.
I think the most significant community service project that we undertook during my presidency was the John Sisson Memorial. The young boy who unfortunately I never met him, but he lost his life helping others in a tragic car accident, and some of our members took it upon themselves to design and help build a shelter in his memory. And it was my task to help dedicate that shelter.
Focusing even more on charitable giving so that we could identify different types of charitable giving we could do beyond just the charitable giving committee. So each committee, international, vocational, got their own charitable budget. Last change I think going to be significant to the future is the creation of the foundation. And I'm on the foundation now, and I believe that will be significant because we now have an investment policy and a charitable giving policy, and I think that will be the future of how we can secure income to the club.
I think a special quality of any president is to be a good listener. Most of us talk a lot, but few of us really listen to what the other person is saying. And I wanted the input from not just the newer members, but the older members who had contributed so much to the club. And finally, I really wanted to recognize those people who had been in our club for so long and who hadn't been recognized. And so I devised what they call an exemplar award, and I gave out about 12 of those awards throughout the year. One I remember to Chuck Conklin posthumously, and one to Walt Larmy, who was still alive before he passed on, and he valued that award greatly.
One change I've noticed, we're trying to spend more time or get more committed into Rotary International and have presidents go to the International Convention. We did go to the Centennial event in Chicago, several of us. The new president, Russ Bertrand, went to that. It's actually said that you go to these international conventions and you stop being a member of Rotary and you become a Rotarian, and I did find that to be true.
That was just so much fun to do, to see Beranger grow and change in the course of the time that she was here. She went from a very shy young girl, barely could speak English, to a girl who really spoke very good English when she left, and very outward and very friendly. She just really loved the United States. I think the most unique thing that I would say is the genuine brotherhood of the club and sisterhood of the club. There's a genuineness of people who really like to come together and like to do things together, and the friendliness of the club. You hear it all the time from people about how friendly and fun it is to come to our meetings, and I agree. I mean, I look forward to that Thursday meeting.
When we started this administration, our commitments to the town and the Polio Plus put us $17,500 in pre-commitments. $12,500 to the town of South Kingston for the Tri-Pond Educational Center, and another $5,000 for our last commitment to the Polio Plus. We had the scholarships, we also did the leadership conference, and we also had a pretty sizable direct grant charitable fundraising giving budget.
I think a significant thing of my year was the Rotary picnic. I think that we've had fun at that again. I think that we've getting great participation in that again. It's similar to what I hear from the older members that it used to be. It was a clam bake type picnic atmosphere, and I think that's a significant thing that I think that I brought to the club, is that success of that. I see the relaxing of the rules a little bit as far as attendance and as far as classifications of membership. I see that as happening a little bit. I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing either.
There are so many members of our club who are working all the time year-round on some of our efforts. As you know, Balloon Committee and our festival and our art festival and so many of our ongoing fundraising efforts, so that we are able to give back to our community and to give to International. We have increased our membership by quite a bit this year. We have 6 new members so far, and I think when we get the word out about our club, people do want to join it.
The star attraction of Wakefield Rotary has been the many organizations it's supported through the years. The list is impressive. Giving from the heart distinguishes any club. Here are just a few examples. We provided a special bike to a polio handicapped youngster. We provided a laptop computer to a young victim of cancer. Chris and Gloria Heisler make Christmas real to the families of students and professors coming to University of Rhode Island every year. Every holiday season, we invite seniors to a special Rotary luncheon. And we have contributed worldwide when there has been disaster. We have sent help to the families of firemen who lost their lives trying to save others in the 9/11 tragedy in New York City. We have sent help to refugees who lost everything in the tsunami disaster in Indonesia, or helping families in New Orleans devastated by Hurricane Katrina. When asked, Wakefield Rotarians answer the call because it's the right thing to do, because they truly live the 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Wakefield Rotarians know that doing the right thing costs, whether that cost is here at home or in the world through the Rotary Foundation. The club has raised $142,168 by having members volunteer $1,000 each to become Paul Harris Fellows. It has awarded 111 Paul Harris Fellows, with 50 being our own club members. It has raised $4,200 this year alone in the Every Rotarian Every Year project. It has its own Rotary Charitable 501c foundation, which takes incoming funds from sponsored events and invests them in savings accounts, CDs, bonds, and stocks, with $25,000 set aside for scholarships and $40,000 set aside for the principal fundraiser, the South County Balloon Festival. Our foundation has grown 8.3% a year to $222,564, and much of what we get comes from fundraisers. Cody Fahey outlines growth of the South County Balloon Festival held the 3rd weekend in July.
The Balloon Festival has changed in many ways, but in 1978, when it was first started, it was on a turf field, and we had nothing but balloons. That was it. And the parking was where they cut the turf, and that created a giant dust bowl. But we did make $5,000 the first year, which was unbelievable for, at that time, in 1978, to make that much money for the Rotary Club. But the big thing really is all the other events that we have now. Everything from radio-controlled airplanes to horse rides and train rides, and we have some sponsors for things, and we make a lot more money now than we did way back when. Only 3 balloon meisters since the beginning of the Balloon Festival, and that's 29 years right now. And that was Gil Foster from Stonington, Connecticut, who helped me start this Balloon Festival. And then, of course, Larry Fortin, our own Larry from the Rotary Club, who had a balloon and has been the balloon meister up until last year. After he was in an accident, Noah Forden took over. So that's only 3 people in almost 30 years. which is pretty amazing. And besides myself as the chairperson, I hope I'm not missing anybody, but certainly Leo Arsenault and Russ Johnson, and of course Spencer Seitz now, who's probably has the most influence on the amount of money we make and is really the perfect person for it.
Another fundraiser is the Narragansett Art Festival in Narragansett, held the third weekend in June, described by Deidre DeRocher.
The art festival became the Rotary's responsibility in 1982 when a Rotarian, Gordon Feiner, who had been a member of the Narragansett Art Association, indicated to the Rotary Club that the Art Association was disbanding, and he thought that the Narragansett Art Festival would be a good way for the Rotary to generate extra revenue. And he offered the art festival to the Rotary. Edward Ted Fish indicated that he would take responsibility for the art festival, and he did that when I joined the Rotary and became his co-chair. The operation or the expenses of the art festival are totally supported by only the entry fees of the artists, and from that we take all of our expenses and hope to have a net revenue of approximately $5,000 to $6,000.
And there is a May breakfast involving all members who serve the public the last week in April. Anyone will tell you a good part of a Wakefield Rotary meeting is laughter. We invite you to enjoy these candid scrapbook moments. So what keeps Wakefield Rotarians laughing, focused, interested, dedicated to the task at hand, whether it's their own town, county, or state? We care about the world. We care about our county and town. We care about each other. So happy 50th anniversary, Wakefield Rotarians. We look forward now to the next 50 years.